around that. Zoom has added this this fun recording link. Also, to anyone that's just joined, I don't know if you guys are seeing it as well, but for some reason Zoom is bringing everyone up as my name. So if your name is wrong on Zoom, I don't know why, feel free to go in and rename yourself, or it might just be on my screen for some reason. But do please rename yourself, otherwise in the Q&A I'm going to be saying Emma for everyone. But without further ado, I'd love to pass over to Sabine, and yeah, it's all yours.
Okay, hello and very warm welcome everybody. I'm so happy to be here and to have been invited to this talk. As Emma said, I'm a grief nutritionist. A bit about my personal story. I lost my husband almost 4 years ago, so this is also everything I'm sharing with you is not just because I studied nutrition, but also based on my personal experience coping with the loss and cooking for one person, you know, all the practical and emotional challenge around that, which was very challenging. So I just wanted to know, but I can't see very many people, so I don't know whether we can get this a little bit more interactive. Oh, that's much better. How long has it been for you since you lost a loved one? Has it been a few months ago, or you can use the chat box if you like. Just to
I lost my husband in January the 16th. So yeah, it's I guess 5 months now. Yeah. So
okay. Yeah.
And I lost my mom October 2020.
That was not long ago.
I lost my dad September 2019, and also my brother 2012.
Gosh, 2 family members. Okay, and have you noticed any health issues ever since you lost your loved one? Okay, I haven't got your name here. It says Emma Dutton, but it's not.
I'm sorry. I don't want to. I can go in and change it. I'm just terrible. It just logged me out again. It just.
No, it's not you. It's.
I can change it from my side. Should I change it to June?
Yeah, please, because I'm just frightened of technology. It's bad. I have it all day. I've got to work with a laptop. But yeah, you know, you said notice any changes in eating.
Yeah, eating, health issues, any changes.
Yeah, I mean, initially I didn't eat. Obviously, when you know, for me, when I first heard, I just couldn't eat. I didn't have an appetite anyway. Now I snack most of the time. I did get a healthy book out last week, the Rosemary Connolly, and want to do the 28-day plan. It's not a diet as such. It's just eating sensibly, cutting out sugars and all of that. But yeah, even now my daughter, would you believe it or not, this is not, it's very true. She's just said downstairs, because I've just snacked on some crackers, and you know, through the day when you're work, she just said, yeah, so much for the healthy eating. But I mean, it's really hard. I just tend to snack, and then late at night chocolate, which is no good, because then that just stays on you. So
Okay.
yeah,
Chocolate is an interesting one.
it would be helpful to get some advice on.
Yeah.
I think it's also comfort eating as well sometimes, isn't it? Because of the grief, it's so painful. I just want to eat something that's nice. Yeah.
I'll come to comfort eating. And then we have another Emma Dutton.
Which one?
Yes,
me.
Yes.
Yeah, no, I've had a myriad of problems, stomach issues, I guess, for a long time, which the doctors have never been able to diagnose anything. I'm one of those people that always has tests. They never have any answers for the tests that I have. Yeah, I lost obviously my brother in 2012, and maybe it's stems from then or around that time. Essentially, my system is just very slow and sluggish, and that causes a lot of problems, pain and fatigue, and it messes with my bladder and everything. But I would say just generally the whole body is, I think, a mess because of trauma and grief, and
and it's so largely overlooked, isn't it? So let's dive into I've got a presentation. I hope I can share my screen. No, I can't. Emma, you need to
Yeah, give me 1 second. You should be able to share your screen now.
Okay, I think it's this one. Yeah, there we are. So can everybody see my screen? So this is really what the title is of my presentation, the gut-grief connection. So what people, health professionals and bereavement professionals overlook is what grief actually does to our body. That they may have heard that it causes a stress response. Some of them have, some of them won't have heard of that. So grief triggers a massive stress response. I didn't realize that when my husband died. I only found out about this later by accident. So nobody told me it. I just stumbled across a research paper that mentioned the connection between grief, stress, and then all the consequences of the stress response in the body. I haven't got a slide about it, but if you can see this, this is what stress does to all the body systems. You know, it's just overwhelming. And there are GPs who just say, well, go and see a bereavement professional. My GP completely ignored it when I said I was bereaved. No question about what are you eating, how are you sleeping, are you drinking enough, you know, no question. So I don't know about your experience. The other Emma Dutton already shared that she, you know, the GP didn't have an answer and the consultants to her problems. I had an immediate idea, but I'm not going to share this here. So it's a very complex thing, and all the physical symptoms and also the mental health issues that we can have after grief can easily be explained when we know that stress can do a lot of things in our body. So it's not weird symptoms that we get. The only weirdness is that we are all individuals, and our response, of course, is different. It depends on our age. It depends on our previous health history. Have we had health issues before? Then, of course, everything will get a little bit worse or much worse. If we haven't had any health issues before, like me, then, you know, health issues will be a little bit more limited, but we will still have issues because it's just massive what we are dealing with. And people should, my mission in life is now to make professionals but also bereaved people aware what they're dealing with, because when we know what we're dealing with, we can do something about it. We are not completely out of control. We can get back control over our health, right? So that's why I'm so passionate about this and try to speak about it so often, and to reach as many people as possible and have a ripple effect that way. And my husband was actually also bereaved, so I was his second wife, and I'm sure that grieving for his first wife was a massive trigger that eventually caused him to die of leukemia. So that's another reason why I'm so passionate about it, because I want other people not to go down the route that my husband unfortunately went down, because nobody, you know, took grief seriously. We need to take it seriously. So the stress response, what does it do to our body? Well, first of all, and that's very vital, it impacts our digestive system. Now, before I studied nutrition, digestive system didn't tell me much, like we all take our digestive system for granted. We put food in the mouth, it goes through, and the waste products come out somewhere. And we none of us really has a connection to what is going on between these two endings, or opening and endings. But there's a lot going on there, and there's a lot that can go wrong, especially when stress comes into play. What stress does, it shuts down our digestive system. And we need 3 things to make our digestion work properly. We need a lot of blood, we need a lot of energy, and we need a lot of fluids. And there's 3 things that bereaved people usually lack. We forget to drink, then we can't make enough stomach acid and enzymes and bile, which we need to break down the food. We lack energy, we become energy vampires when we're bereaved. Exhaustion is one of the big things that people struggle with. And the 3rd thing is the lack of blood. Because when we have a stress response, it's our ancient response from prehistoric times when humans were still living with saber-toothed tigers, that when we came face to face with such a tiger, we had a response like either we fight or we flee from the tiger, or we freeze and then we're done, we're gone. So fight or flight response, and that means that when we run, we can't digest, so the digestive system shuts down, because all the energy goes into the heart and the limbs so that we can run as fast as possible. Does that make sense? Right? So we don't need the blood in our digestive system, it goes somewhere else, but that means we can't digest our food when we are emotionally stressed. So grief triggers this unfortunate response. And then when we can't break down the food into smaller particles, we can't absorb the nutrients, the vitamins, the minerals, the protein, everything we need to build the body and to stay healthy. So we get nutrient deficiencies. One of them is iron, another one is magnesium. So that brings me to your chocolate. That could be, like linked to magnesium deficiency. And then if nothing is done, if the GP doesn't take you seriously with your grieving and, with your bereavement and doesn't check your vitamin D levels and doesn't check your bloods and your thyroid, for example, then we get all sorts of other issues, and eventually they can become chronic health issues. And on the left hand side, you can see the gut grief connection. So when we have the gut and the brain are actually linked, that's another thing that's largely overlooked by health professionals. It's been in the public domain, in scientific papers. They've been talking about this for more than 2 centuries, and still this connection is so largely ignored. Bereavement professionals still only treat this part of our body and hardly ever look into what's going on in the rest of the body, and especially in our digestive system. What are you eating and how well are you digesting the food? And the other connection that we have between the gut and the brain is our gut microbes. We live with trillions of tiny, things that you can only see under the microscope. That's why they're called microbes. Bacteria, viruses, parasites, yeast and fungi. They're all, living there and living symbiotically together. But when stress comes into play, everything goes out of sync. And also the composition of our gut microbes. And then we have beneficial ones that are good for our health and really key to our health. And we have the more harmful ones, like parasites, of course, but also harmful bacteria. And when they are in the majority, that's, again, causing imbalances somewhere else. And you can see the gut microbes have an influence on our anxiety levels, on our mood, behavior, and so on and so forth. So, I'm trying to. So this is it visually again. So grief is perceived as a threat we try to run away from grief. Some people literally, not just figuratively. This puts out our digestive fire because we need. We have something that's called fire in Ayurveda, the traditional system of medicine in India, and we need the food to be well cooked in order to process it. When it's not well cooked, then we get all sorts of cravings because we get nutrient deficiencies, which can make us crave, for example, carbs. We get emotional eating, like June said, because we crave sweet things when we crave comfort. And we crave comfort a lot, but also when we lose our dad. Then we also get cravings for food when we lack energy, because our brain is just so on overload. And usually it takes 20% of all the energy we produce goes into our brain. So the brain is a huge energy sucker, I would say. And in grief, of course, it's processing, and it needs more than 20% of energy. And then we also have our digestive system that takes 60% of our energy under normal circumstances. So can you imagine what happens when we don't digest our food well? So we need more energy to digest our food. And then there's hardly any energy left for anything else, right? So that explains the lack of energy for everybody, but also cravings. And when there's an imbalance between the good and the bad guys in the gut, the good guys actually make 95% of our happy hormone, serotonin. Now, when the good guys are no longer in the majority and the harmful ones take over, and they crave sweet things as well, by the way, then we get less serotonin. So, of course, there's a bigger risk of becoming depressed, because serotonin, a lack of serotonin is linked to depression. And lack of serotonin is also linked to IBS, so irritable bowel syndrome, you know, with all the abdominal cramping and diarrhea, constipation and things like that. So, and IBS and depression are very often linked. It's so obvious when you read the research. It's all out there, but it's, you know, the GPs, they always say they don't have time to read the research, but they should really. And if they don't want to read the research, then refer them on to somebody who reads the research, so that you don't have to experience health issues. So I would like to ask you, I mean, June has already told me she's got cravings for chocolate. So my first instinct would be that's a lack of magnesium, especially before bedtime, because magnesium relaxes us and helps us sleep better. So that might explain your cravings. So I would say magnesium supplement would be a good one. Any other food cravings you've noticed, or has everybody got sweet cravings?
Mine are sugary normally as well. I've always struggled with overeating anyway, as a comfort thing, literally my whole life. So yeah, grief sometimes makes that worse.
Yeah, grief makes emotional issues that we've had before worse. Yeah. So we all have, to a certain extent, childhood trauma because our parents, nobody can be a perfect parent, right? I did my best with my daughter. I've made mistakes, and we all have to, you know, go through that, you know, behavior that we learn as a child. As an adult, we have to like confront these issues in order to really be able to tackle emotional eating. It's so linked to how we were given love as a child and how we were made to think about ourselves and that sort of thing. So it's a very tricky issue. And then sorry, I was
going to say I've got a few more in the chat. If anyone can send me anything directly if they'd like me to bring it up anonymously. So cakes, cookies, gummies, and other comfort foods.
Yeah. So comfort food in itself is not, you know, a bad thing, you know, because the body craves sweet food with a sweet taste, a natural sweet taste, when it's facing so many emotions and overwhelming emotions, and it just wants this comfort. And can you imagine in prehistoric times they didn't have supermarkets with processed foods, right? And ready-made meals where there's sugar in it. So when they were grieving, they were eating berries, they were eating, I don't know, something like sweet potatoes or an equivalent from prehistoric times. Or meat has also got a natural sweet taste, but they wouldn't eat convenience food from the supermarket. So I'm also on a mission there, because they make grieving for us so much worse. So grieving doesn't have to lead to low moods all the time. I mean, yeah, low mood, up and down, that's normal, but not the downward spiral and not getting out of it, without depressants. That's not normal, and that can be prevented.
We've got a few more on cravings. So we've got some. So you've mentioned meats, but also fatty foods or fried chicken. And what about also alcohol?
Yeah, alcohol is linked to low GABA. So GABA is one of the neurotransmitters, is a brain chemical. We have serotonin is another one that's linked to mood. And GABA is, I can't remember now, but alcohol cravings are linked to low GABA. And there are GABA supplements that you can take. But I would also look into all the other nutrient deficiencies. It's probably not just that one. There's all sorts of others. Yeah? Okay, then let's explore this sugar issue further. Now, what we have, what's really important when we're grieving is regulating our blood sugar levels. And what I mean by that is when we eat processed food, for example, that keeps us satisfied for a little while, and our blood sugar levels go up, and you can see that on the left-hand side. But then we get a sudden crash, because processed food doesn't keep us satisfied for long, because it doesn't contain the nutrients we need, it doesn't contain a lot of fiber we need, and to keep the good guys happy, because that's their preferred fuel. So we need more fiber in our food than we get from convenience food. And also there's extra sugar in it, so again that makes the blood sugar spike and drops even worse. Now, can you imagine when we're already on an emotional roller coaster, what this blood sugar roller coaster through eating convenience food does to us? I mean, when I found out about that, it made so much sense that people were struggling while I was actually not struggling that much, because I was trying to keep my blood sugar levels stable throughout, because my husband and I were already on a very healthy diet to fight his leukemia through nutrition. So I knew how to keep my blood sugar levels stable by eating a lot of fiber, by not eating processed food. I did miss meals, and that made my blood sugar, a bit uneven. But for the, I did my best. Let's put it that way while I was grieving. So, but if you haven't got this knowledge, can you imagine what this does? This double whammy all the time, like the emotional roller coaster on top of the blood sugar roller coaster. Just imagine, how much better you can cope with grief when you don't have this double whammy. So, and you can see the good guys here on the right hand side, they're really being decimated by people eating food that doesn't contain enough fiber, and they're saying, I need fiber. So next time you eat a vegetable, say hello, I'm eating fiber to make you thrive. So we can talk to our gut microbes. I call them our friends, because they are really trying their best to keep us healthy. And they are also a big part of our immune system. So if we want to, survive a coronavirus infection better, keep eating fiber and stay away from sugar. So have you noticed any effect of food on your mood, on your anxiety levels, on your energy, or anything else? Have you noticed any impact? Any situation when you became aware that what you'd been eating was not really the right food for you, or made you feel unbalanced in some way?
I think for me, it's definitely using caffeine to avoid or to try and get out of fatigue, but then feeling super anxious and like on hyperdrive as a result.
Yeah. Well, caffeine is a big one. I'm also a coffee addict. And when I found out about bitter cravings and the link to coffee, it was just mind blowing. Because apparently we crave coffee and the bitter taste of coffee when we lack joy in our life. And we should really look at our heart. There we are. When we have bitter cravings and can't stay away from coffee. Because as you say, I'm the same, like when it's for me it's a treat, like it's something to look forward to. So for me it's really lack of joy in my life, so I need to go out and find some joy in different things. But with lockdown it was of course a little bit different. I tried to limit my coffee intake before lockdown by just drinking coffee just when going out, and then lockdown happened, and then the only joy I had was drinking coffee, so I limited it to 2 a day, not more. But I understand completely where you're coming from, and it's like beating a dead horse. Drinking coffee, it just tires our adrenals, and the adrenals sit on top of the kidneys and they produce all the stress hormones. So they're already on, overdrive, because they have to produce all the stress hormones because we're so emotionally stressed. And then on top of that, we get this caffeine. Our adrenals are not thanking us for that. So just be aware of it, and that makes it easier to make a good or better choice, when we're aware of what we're doing actually.
Hello. I just wonder, like, when does a craving becomes kind of pathological?
What do you mean by pathological?
Because I guess a certain level of craving is okay. It's not like a problem that you need to jump on and deal with it. But yeah, I would want to know when it's time a craving becomes a problem. And I have to like kind of set an alarm in my head. It was like, okay, you're craving this too much. So how much is too much?
Well, when you become aware of it, then it's already like, hang on a minute, because normally we're not aware of our cravings, right? We're so unaware what's going on in our body usually. But a craving is a sign that the body tries to communicate what it needs, right? It's a good sign that you've got cravings, and the stronger they get, the more the body needs something. So the more you need to listen to what may my body need. So when it's like bitter cravings, then you need to look at your heart and more joy in your life, and also about your energy, how you want to improve your energy levels in a more positive, more nourishing fashion. And I will share a good way to do this with you. When it's sweet cravings, you can do something about the sweet cravings by eating natural food that has a sweet taste, like fruit, apples, berries, all the summer fruit now. Just eat it instead of eating chocolate or gums or whatever. It's the natural sweet taste is never bad. Honey has got so many beneficial properties, and it's also antimicrobial. It helps against viruses. Just eat natural food and you will get what you need. And then it's then still a few things probably that you crave, and then you can narrow it down. Is it B12 deficiency? Is it iron deficiency? When you crave meat, it could be iron that you're missing, or zinc. There are links. So I would encourage you to explore these cravings more. Sit with them whenever you notice them. what have I eaten before? What am I lacking in my food? Okay, and am I processing my food well? Do I need to do something? Okay. Right, so I want to explore more the why it's so important, give a good example why good stress management and good nutrition are so important for bereaved people. We need the nutrients from the food we eat, and one big player in our metabolism and regulating our energy levels and our mood and everything is the thyroid, which sits here in the throat. So you can imagine when we're crying, we get this constriction here, and some people have difficulty swallowing, so that affects the thyroid as well. But there's also another link I'm going to talk about in a minute. So you can see how many vitamins and minerals, and these are not all of them, the thyroid needs vitamin D. Now I've got 2 clients who came back with low vitamin D levels. I've been shouting it from the rooftops from March 2020 that everybody needs to have the vitamin D levels checked. That's the first thing you need as an immune defense, because the vitamin D plays such a key role in your immune system. We are dealing with a coronavirus that affects the immune system. And there are people with 10 nanomole a liter in comparison to 100, which we should, it should be our optimum level, at least 100, not 50, like the GPs say. They haven't read the latest research about that one. So vitamin D of 10 or 18 is, you have no immune defense. I'm sorry. You've been lucky that you haven't come across somebody with a coronavirus and got long COVID, for example. I mean, how many people with long COVID have got vitamin D deficiency? It's criminal. I'm really sorry, but I'm really passionate about that one. Vitamin D is the basis, the very first thing I say to everybody: have your vitamin D levels checked, because it's implicated in anxiety, depression, weight gain, energy, muscle pain. How many people have got these symptoms when they are bereaved? Okay, so look at this and check your vitamin D levels. It's not too late. It's good to know where you're starting at and then supplement and go out into the sunlight. Okay, yeah.
How would someone can they just go to their GP and ask for a vitamin D test?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. And usually they should give you one. My GP refused. He just said, oh, take a vitamin D supplement. Everybody needs it. Everybody's lacking vitamin D. He didn't even ask whether I was supplementing already. So my GP is just like really not a good one. There are better examples, but yeah, I've not got a good experience with mine. So here you can see the thyroid has a butterfly shape and needs a lot of different minerals and vitamins, but also protein, which is in beans, lentils, meat, dairy, that sort of thing, and is very much impacted by stress and trauma. So when we are stressed and undergoing trauma, then our thyroid will slow down, and it's because it wants to protect us. Nothing in our body happens without a reason. There's always a reason why things happen, and the thyroid protects us from expanding more energy for metabolism, for using all the blood sugar, for example, in our cells or other things, because we don't have the energy. We are energy vampires, so it needs to slow down to preserve the energy for the vital functions like the brain and the digestive system to keep us going. So it slows down also our digestive system. So if you get constipated, look at the thyroid. Is there a reason for the thyroid to slow down my metabolism to make me constipated, right? So we have such a fascinating body. I was always like, I can't study nutrition. I'm not a nutritional therapist, and now I am one. And it's just fascinating. I'm learning new things every single day about our body. Okay, when you have a thyroid test done, also be aware that GPs usually only test the TSH, which is the hormone that is produced by the pituitary gland. I won't go into other details. And then it produces T4, but we need the T3 levels. And usually the GPs only test the TSH and the T4 levels, but we need the T3 levels. That's the active hormone, and we know that something is happening in our body. Without T3, we can't see whether the thyroid is really functioning properly or not. Right. So the key points of our problem is we're dealing with high stress levels, nothing else. And we need to be aware of nutrient deficiencies and other imbalances, like I said, the gut microbes that can get out of hand, and we get more bad guys than good guys. And neurotransmitter imbalances like serotonin because of it. Yeah, so we don't need medication. That's my big point. If we address the root problem, and that's stress and the food we eat. Now, this is what I wanted to also tell you. When we have difficulty swallowing, it can be because when we are in a stress response, that's the fight and flight response, and that's the system on the left here. So the right picture, but on the left, it's the sympathetic fight and flight system that's activated, right, when we are emotionally stressed. But in order to digest our food well, and in order to be able to swallow, we need to be in rest and digest mode. So we need to activate the parasympathetic nervous system, which is on the right hand side. And the one switch that we have is the vagus nerve, and that's the one in the middle that goes from the brainstem to the tailbone, and it connects all the organs in the body. So when we have difficulty swallowing or cramping in our digestive system, irritable bowel, then there's something wrong with the vagus nerve. It's either overstimulated or shut down. And there's and now we're coming to the remedies, very simple remedies that we can use. So the solution to our problem is good stress management, right? So the first thing is, of course, become aware that we are stressed and that we have anxiety, because we can't have anxiety without stress. Stress always triggers, among others, anxiety. So one very effective practice that you can do is just to do some deep breathing before and after a meal. So what does deep breathing look like? So we all need to breathe, right? And I always try to make things as simple as possible. So we need to breathe, so we just make it a little bit deeper. So I would like to invite you all to put your hands on your tummy and to practice this deep breathing with me. So close your eyes and then just check in where your breath is at this moment in time. It might just be up here in the chest area. Just be aware of it. And then on the next in-breath, I invite you all to breathe deeper into your tummy, by which I mean to expand your tummy outwards so that your hands are lifted away from the body and go out, and slowly and gradually push the tummy outwards as far as you can. And then on the exhale, you go very, very slowly and gradually back towards your spine. And very, very slowly. And you try to make your tummy as flat as possible on the exhale. Now there's an additional element to this. So on the next inhale, you push your tummy outwards as much as you can, but also try to push the air upwards into your chest area. And just try to get oxygen into your upper body to all your organs. Push the air up and out. And then on the exhale, you go back the same way you came. You deflate the chest area first. And then you pull the tummy muscles towards the back of your spine. And very slowly, very mindfully, there's no rush. And let's do this one more time, pushing the tummy out and the air upwards. As much as you can. And when you encounter some resistance, just push gently towards the resistance. See whether you can get a little bit further up, and then go back the way you came. And gently open your eyes again. So this is what I mean by deep breathing, and you can feel, I hope, that it's calmed you down. And this exercise in itself, we only did it 3 times, cost maybe 3 minutes, not even, has increased your digestive enzyme levels by 25%. And we need digestive enzymes to break down meat, for example, any protein, right? So 25% increase just by doing this 3 times. It's just amazing. And then, of course, after meal, it's very good to let the stomach do its churning action for 15 minutes. If you can just stay away from the screen or from any shouting matches, or, you know, just be sitting on the sofa, closing your eyes, and connect with your body, you know, or sit with your emotions if they come up after a meal. Whatever comes up, sit with it. And then we come to the best eating habits, because some of the eating habits actually stimulate the vagus nerve as well, like chewing. So if you chew your food really well, that activates the vagus nerve. So again, that helps with digestion. And I've already mentioned it, eat in a calm and stress-free environment without distractions. Because any distractions, if you watch television, for example, then some of the blood will have to go to the eyes so that we can watch the film or whatever. So we want as much blood in our stomach as possible while we are eating. And savor your food. So spend time cooking. I know it's hard when you're on your own cooking for yourself, but take in the colors and the aromas, and I'm going to, tell you how you can create aromas. But cook with a lot of color. That will, entice you to cook more, and then also make you enjoy the meal more, because we also eat with our eyes. And it will also trigger something in the brain that will help us produce saliva. And we need saliva again to break down our food well. Our digestion starts in the mouth. Avoid overeating, so no snacking actually, because when we snack, the stomach acid and digestive enzyme and the bile that we need to, digest one food well will be diluted. So when we snack all the time, there's no time to make new stomach acid to digest the food. So we just like stack food up and food up and food in our digestive system, which is not properly broken down because there's not enough stomach acid, enzymes and bile. So I always recommend sticking to 3 meals a day, and every meal should contain some carbs in the form of vegetables or fruit. Beans and lentils also have carbs. Protein, which is also beans, lentils, nuts and seeds, for example, and beneficial oils, which are also in nuts and seeds. So don't go by this red light system on packaging that says nuts and seeds are in the red light. No, it's beneficial fats that we need. So go for nuts and seeds, but chew them well, because otherwise they're quite difficult to digest otherwise. Okay, so, and only eat when you're truly hungry. right? Because hunger, when we are grieving, we confuse like thirst for hunger, or when we are in need of comfort, we go for food. So be aware why you want to put some food in your mouth. Before you put it in your mouth, just stop for a second, check in. Am I really hungry, or am I hungry for something else? Is it emotional hunger? And then distract yourself if it's emotional hunger. Look at pictures, sit with your grief, go for a walk, drink something, try and check in whether you're not actually thirsty, and other things. And if you really want to snack, then snack and don't feel guilty about it, but just check in afterwards how it makes you feel, whether it makes you tired or energetic, or makes you moody. Just be aware of what food does in your body. Regular meal routine, I've already mentioned that. So have your 3 meals, if possible, a day at almost the same time each day, if or as much as possible at the same time each day. So breakfast between 7 and at the latest 9 o'clock, lunch between 12 and 2, and dinner before 7. Lunch should be our main meal because our digestive system works best at lunchtime. It's at its utmost strength at lunchtime. If we eat meat, dairy in the evening, we're not going to digest it well. So the dinner should be light. Chicken and fish is light, so if you want to have some of this in the evening, that's okay. Rice is light, vegetables, but not red meat is very difficult to digest. Wheat is difficult to digest, so pasta made from wheat is very, very heavy in the stomach, and dairy is also very difficult to digest. Just be aware of it, see what it does to your body. It's just a few simple things, when we are aware of this, we can change it. And avoid cold drinks and food. Now this is a controversial one, I know, because not many people know this, but again, it has to do with the blood supply to our stomach and digestive system. When we eat something cold, or we drink something cold, which is even worse, we constrict the blood vessels in the stomach. And then, of course, the blood goes somewhere else. It doesn't stay in the stomach. So if you drink something that's lukewarm, like herbal tea. I always have make a flask of ginger tea every morning, because otherwise I forget to drink. And at least I get that amount every day. It's not enough, so I try to drink more than that. And try to not drink cold things. And if you drink it, then just feel the effect it has in your stomach. You don't have to believe me, just believe your body. So this is what a varied diet should look like, according to the Association of Nutritional Therapists. So you can see that it doesn't mention any dairy. So we're not proponents of dairy. Calcium can be found in lots and lots of other food. That's why we say your diet has to be as varied as possible, because then you get the calcium from all the different sources and you don't have to worry about it. So it's a myth that we need cow's milk and cheese to get the calcium. And you can see that 50% of our meals should be made of vegetables in any shape or form, right? So, and then a little bit is protein, and then some oils. So the big question is, how do we get a meal? How do we prepare a meal that is quick, simple, nourishing, tasty? Anything else I've forgotten? No. So I recommend this coconut water banana smoothie in the morning, because it has everything we need. Why coconut water? Because it's rich in electrolytes, among which magnesium. So that might also be helpful for June, who has got maybe a magnesium deficiency. Electrolytes help to get the nutrients into the cells and get waste out of the cell, and they regulate our water balance in the body, so they're really, really important. So coconut water has got lots of them, and banana also. Potassium is another one, and bananas are rich in potassium. That's the basis, and then there's a lot of other ingredients that are very helpful, like nuts and seeds, raw honey and cinnamon to keep the blood sugar levels stable, and you can vary it every single day and never get bored of it. So I have it quite a lot now in the summer, and every time I get up a bit too late, this is so quick. The only thing you need is some food processing. It's very difficult to smash everything yourself. So you can, you will get the recipe tomorrow with the email that Emma is going to send out.
Yeah.
So if you just start your day with this smoothie, it will give you the energy and will keep your mood stable, and it will help you balance your emotions. So you will get the nutrients because everything's already blended. So it makes it easy for your digestive system to absorb the nutrients. That's the trick. We need to already pre-process the food to make it easier for the digestive system. And some other meal ideas. I like hummus with a stir fry in the summer. Stir fries in general, that was my go-to. That was the only way I knew that I could get my 5 vegetables in a day that I was supposed to get in. That's what my Ayurvedic practitioner said, not my GP. So I got a kick in the ass from my Ayurvedic practitioner. She said, you have to eat more vegetables. So I'm going to pass on the kick to other people now. So I encourage you to eat more vegetables. And you will feel the difference it makes to your breathing. And then herbs and spices. I love ginger. Ginger is warming. It's very good as an antimicrobial to keep the balance between the good and the bad guys. It's anti-inflammatory, which inflammation is always the root cause of disease. Anything that causes a red patch on your skin, you can imagine, that we don't want that happening in our digestive system. So ginger is a great one. It also helps with appetite when we're lacking appetite, with nausea. It's got so many benefits with gas, bloating. If anything is slow in moving, like with the other Emma Dutton, then that can also help because it warms up the digestive system, but it also produces the digestive juices. It helps us produce them. And again, I can share a ginger pickle recipe with you that you can just eat 1 slice of ginger pickle about 20 minutes before you eat a main meal, and that will help with digesting your meal. And it's very simple to make, and you just put it in the fridge and you take a slice before you eat. So another big favorite of mine is fennel seeds. When you've got difficulty swallowing, or again with food stagnation, that nothing is moving and everything's stuck, as in constipation for example, fennel seeds help relax the muscles and everything moves more smoothly. And I've actually tested this on myself, and the effect is within 2 minutes, just chewing a handful of fennel seeds. This is my ginger pickle recipe. And yeah, don't forget to drink enough, and I would say more herbal tea than cold water or coffee. And yeah, if you are addicted to coffee, then just try to limit the amount, and you can actually lessen the effect of the caffeine by putting a teaspoon of coconut oil in it, or yeah, something else. Yeah, exercise is of course also very important to keep moving, because our emotions, we don't want them to get stuck, and the word emotion is based on the word move. So I noticed this when I was sitting too much in the first few months and then got up, I was overwhelmed by grief. So just, but don't overdo it. Don't go for marathon running, yeah. Just be gentle on yourself. Just walking, being out in nature, doing some gardening, walking up and down the staircase, or doing some gentle yoga will help as well. We don't want any extremes. We want to be gentle on ourselves. And yeah, where to start? There's so many tips, of course, that I shared with you, and I have so many more. But because water is important for our digestion, I recommend making a flask every morning and sipping throughout the day. So all the time have something, you know, ready to sip. Add color to your meals, right? It's so easy to just, whatever you know how to cook, because everything that we can cook on autopilot is easier than having to look up a recipe. I don't try to learn new things to just, well, not new recipes in any way. So if you have a stir fry recipe or a soup or curry quiche, whatever, just add more variety of vegetables and play around with the colors. And then breathing. So the deep breathing exercise, I said, you can do it in the morning, but especially before and after a meal would be very beneficial. So that's my 3 top tips where to start with getting yourselves into a better place. So I offer some free resources like an adaptable shopping list to help you buy all the ingredients you need to eat in a more nourishing fashion. I also share meal ideas, meal prep ideas, and I've got a well-being community for bereaved partners where I share things. We have somebody speaking about essential oils on the 8th of July. So, and how they can help us cope better with grief. So there's all sorts of things that can help us. And I offer 3 no obligation 30-minute session to explore your health challenges in more detail and see how we can work together to solve them. And this is my other services, one-to-one health assessments and one-to-one cooking sessions. And I also incorporate them for some people who lack the joy in cooking, so to bring the joy back and give them more the motivation to cook. We usually cook around lunchtime, so the person I do the one-to-one session with always has a meal afterwards, so there's extra benefits. I do grief yoga classes in a chair or on a mat, and I do, of course, vitamin D testing. So I would say small changes can change everything, as this picture says. Take back control of your health and you will be able to take back control of your life. And as my client said to me the other day, she said for the first time she's actually starting to think about the future. So, and something she wouldn't have dreamt of saying a few months ago. So, and be aware that what you eat has an effect on your friends in the gut. That's the picture on the right. Right, so this was my presentation, and I'm going to stop this now. So, any questions?
I'm just gonna I'm gonna stop recording now for the Q&A, because I know obviously